Hello, I'm James Pierce. This pictorial is called Eccentric Sensing Devices. And this project began with my concern, shared by many others, about the emerging smart home and neighborhood and these tensions between the good, the bad, and everything in between with these devices. I focus on smart home cameras for a few reasons. One is that they're very popular. Second is that they are a notable source of tension with regard to privacy, security, and trust. And they're also complex devices with many onboard sensors in addition to cameras, including microphones. Zooming in, though, and getting closer to the intimate lived experience of daily life, this work articulates several new and emerging design qualities and opportunities. Engineers have ways of talking about similar trends from a technical perspective, such as ubiquitous, autonomous, distributed, and miniaturized sensing systems. This project articulates several complementary qualities, including ways in which smart sensing devices are layered, how they float around, how they reach and overreach within space, and how they autonomously roam and wander, and how they can also become hidden and backgrounded. This pictorial develops a vocabulary for understanding these corresponding qualities from an experiential and design perspective. Process is really important here. Quickly sketching and diagramming sensing devices was an almost daily practice during the ongoing course of this project. Some of these concepts proved generative and elucidating enough to develop further and to communicate more clearly. And a handful of concepts I then develop into more detailed design proposals to work through their construction and operation and potential integration into daily life. So in this example, I start with the simple premise of combining a Nest Home security camera with a telephoto lens. In each of these proposal pages, I then also conduct an ongoing series of material experiments. So in this example, I'm using a crude ready-made version of the proposal I showed in the previous slide to carefully map all the views from my home visible with this telephoto Nest camera, and then to imagine some future use cases. Sometimes I use crude prototypes to experiment. Sometimes they're more operationally robust and aesthetically refined devices. But in either case, these devices are enabling me to test how and whether the proposals are interesting to actually use and live with, and to surface a combination of exciting new aesthetic and functional potentials alongside troubling privacy, security, and ethical concerns. In addition to design ideas, these pages work through more general concepts, including articulating the design qualities that I outlined earlier. In this case, on this page, I'm considering how the smart camera that is battery powered rather than tethered to an outlet can float around and get lost and perhaps get in trouble, like a dog off of a leash. This pictorial also exemplifies a methodological contribution of using what I refer to as conceptual design notes alongside and in conversation with design proposals and experiments. These conceptual notes were used to highlight design opportunities and concerns, such as designing for non-primary users who don't fully own or control a sensing device. Conceptual design notes also produced models for more broadly understanding privacy and surveillance. For example, through these experiments, a recurring observation is that the famous panopticon model of surveillance often inverts these days, and it's typically safe to assume that there is a sensing device nearby and that it's on and actively sensing. This approach of making conceptual design notes connects to Bauer and Gaver's concept of annotated portfolios. However, it subtly diverges in two important regards. First, with regard to process, these notes merge the activities of annotating and designing. So instead of treating annotations as a secondary layer of verbal knowledge added atop an already designed or made thing, with conceptual design notes, the creation of notes and things is a more intertwined, explicitly intertwined process. Second, with regard to outcomes, the aim is to grasp designs less as discrete material things and more in terms of what feminist theorists, including Donna Haraway and Claudia Castaneda, refer to as figurations, which merge the material and the semiotic or the representational. A concrete effect of this philosophy is that in this project, I make a variety of things: drawings, diagrams, sketches, experiments, robust prototypes. Concrete effect of this philosophy is that in this project, I make a variety of things: drawings, diagrams, sketches, material experiments, prototypes. There are, of course, real and consequential differences between a drawing of a thing and an actual thing held in one's hand, but we also shouldn't overlook the ways in which we also hold drawings in our hands, whether on paper or screen. Informed by this perspective shift, I invite reading this work along a flatter ontological hierarchy, one that softens distinctions among common design categories, such as a sketch, prototype, proposal, specification, scenario, documentation, and so on. Conceptual design notes offer a complementary model for doing design research that can amplify the powers of design to articulate a richly nuanced and layered space of possibilities. To the extent that design research is valued because of its inspirational and generative potentials, conceptual design notes invite readers to engage with the work in a manner closer to the experiential process of doing exploratory, speculative, and conceptual design inquiry, complete with the twists, turns, and occasional dead ends.